Well, I want to say one more thing about Beyonce.
You can say literally as many things as you want about Beyonce. We got hours. You can talk about her for hours.
So what we didn't talk about is how her family and friends showed out for her throughout the tour.
Say more.
The people on all socioeconomic levels enjoyed this show the same. And we were able to see it because we live in a society with social media right now.
Yep.
I mean, we saw Oprah's reaction,
yep,
right, all the way down to Offset, complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Offset was having a good old time.
Right. Kris Kardashian was trying to learn the electric slide, right? All of those things were happening because Beyonce brought us together.
Yeah, you know, my favorite video that I've watched was Elaine, I think her name was Wentworth. I don't know her. I should know her last name. I'm sorry. The woman who is the fashion icon. I think she works for. I don't know. I was supposed to know.
Teen Vogue. Is it Teen Vogue?
Vogue. I think Elaine. I mostly know her because she's a host on
Judge on Project Runway.
A judge on Project Runway, and she was at the birthday show, and she was live streaming. Which I know you're not supposed to do, and they were in there shutting people's live streams down. But she live streamed like a really good amount of the first 2 songs that Beyonce said when she was like thanking the audience and talking about like what it meant for her to show up as a 43-year-old woman in this time, and like watching Elaine's reaction to Beyonce's reaction to the audience on her birthday was just so precious.
Hello, everybody. It's me. See, I must try not to sing this time. I've been doing vocal lessons every day. Not vocal lessons. I've been doing vocal exercises every day to try to get my voice back in shape because I'm doing something y'all don't know about yet. And so I just really want to sing all day, every day, like I'm in an opera, but I'm not. I am in an opera. I'm in my own opera in my mind. Welcome to the Big We Podcast, episode 2, season 5. I am so excited about today's episode because we have a guest today. And the guest is my very good friend, Cheryl Keita. Y'all don't know her yet, but when you know her, you're going to be like, this is the best person that ever was born because she's amazing. She's so smart and she's so fun and she's so like, she's intellectually intelligent, but she's also spiritually and emotionally intelligent, and she's super funny, and you'll just love her. She's great. She's the best. She's the best. She's the best. So what's going on with me? What a great question. Y'all, I've had a really hard couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. It's been, wow. I'm growing. We've had some personnel changes over at the Big We ecosystem family situation. And I am learning about myself that, okay, here's what I'm learning. This is a really hard lesson. I don't like this lesson, but this is what I'm learning. Everybody can't come. And I'm also learning that it's not my responsibility to help everybody transform so that they can come. That's everybody's own individual work. And I find myself constantly like, as a reformed Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses kind of woman, I like to look at people in terms of who they could be. Who would you be if you would heal? Who could you be for the world if you would just transform yourself? And I like to do the work of helping people bring the best out. I like to show people love and make them feel safe and make them feel like they can be a part of our community. But you know what? I got work to do. I don't have time to help you heal. I don't have time to hold you accountable 8,000 times. I don't have time to make sure that you know that you are loved and that you are worthy and that you can come into the world in your full, whole self. I have work to do. So you know what? You need to go get a therapist, okay? And then once you finish your therapy, you can come back And we will welcome you. You might not be able to work here, but we will welcome you with open arms. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just what's happening at work. It's really just what's happening in life, in my life in general. I am learning that it's not that it's not my responsibility. It's that I need to prioritize the things that I want to build and the things that I want to grow into and the things that I want to accomplish and experience in my life. And sometimes that means that people can't come. If they can, they are welcome. They're welcome. But my new commitment is to low-hanging fruit. So that goes for people who are emotionally unwell. That goes for men in romantic relationships. That goes for white people who are not ready to have a real conversation about race and class. It goes for literally everybody. If you are ready to jump in and you ready to work, I'm your girl. I will wrestle. I will roll up my sleeves. I will transform. I will be transformed. I will do all those things. But if you're not ready, please do not come over here because I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm going to ask you to leave. This is what's going on in my life. You see, I've been going through a lot since the last episode, right? A lot has happened. We don't need to talk about all of it, but I will tell you that this is what God is telling me right now is that, what do they say? When you got to put your own mask first? How come I haven't learned that lesson yet? What is going on in my life that I haven't learned that lesson yet? Have you learned that lesson? Have you? Because if you haven't, we should talk about it. This is the thing that we need to learn because, what did Jesus say? Jesus said, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do you know what that means? You can't love nobody else if you don't love yourself. You know what RuPaul said? If you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? So he was just trying to reinforce the message, trying to tell you that the work that we should be doing on this planet is how do we love ourselves? How do we center ourselves in the most juicy, humble, beautiful way? I'm not saying be self-centered. I'm saying center yourself. Do you see the difference in what I'm saying? Why are we having this whole conversation? We should be talking about movies right now. We're going to move on, but I'm just telling you, somebody out there needs to hear this. It's time for us to love ourselves. The only way that the world is going to change, the only way that policy is going to change, the only way that poverty is going to be alleviated, the only way that we can all open our hearts and be loved to each other and accept each other for who and what we are is when we look at ourselves and love ourselves for who and what we are first. You can't save everybody, and neither can I. And we're going to stop right now, okay? It's over. No more. So, listen. Now that my tangent is over, I'm healing. Give me some time.
Hi, my name is Anasa Troutman, and I am the founder of the Big We ecosystem. We're all about bold narratives and stories that transform generations. Using cultural strategy accelerates change towards our shared values and dreams. We work in community with artists, movements, and purpose-driven brands to create safety, joy, love, and abundance for everyone. Be a part of something bigger. Be a part of the Big We Foundation. Stay updated on our work by subscribing to our YouTube channel and join our email list by clicking the link in the video description below.
I want to go into the pop 3 because I really want to get into the conversation with Cheryl today because we talked for 45 minutes, and so I'm not going to keep you up here. Let's see what I want y'all to know about. Oh, the pop 3 today is so good. Oh my God. So, can we talk about Ahsoka, please? I know I say this. Okay. I would like to admit something to y'all because I feel like every time I talk about Star Wars on the Big We podcast, I say, we don't talk about Star Wars on this podcast. And then every episode, I say something about Star Wars. I remember last season, probably episode 2, we talked about John Boyega for 30 minutes. And then last episode 1, we talked about who cloned Tyrone. They cloned Tyrone. And who did we talk about again? John Boyega and Star Wars. So I'm just going to go ahead and give myself some grace. And I'm going to say to you, we're probably going to talk about Star Wars on every episode. And this time we're going to talk about Ahsoka because the Ahsoka live action show is now live on Disney. We're probably at this point in episodes 5 or 6 when it came out last night. And Rosario Dawson, My goodness. Rosario, listen. You know why we love Rosario Dawson? Because Rosario Dawson is a drum major for justice. Rosario Dawson is in these streets on voting rights, on sustainable fashion, on equity and love for all people. And she is also killing this show as Ahsoka Tano with her double lightsaber wielding self. And we love it. So if you haven't started watching Ahsoka, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and watch it. Now, here's my warning. If you have not watched Rebels, you may not know exactly what's going on in Ahsoka. I have a couple friends who have watched Ahsoka without watching Rebels, and they're just fine. But I went back and watched Rebels from the beginning, and I feel like it was important. Now, I will also say that Rosario Dawson is not in Rebels. She does not play Ahsoka. Another person plays Ahsoka who, is not Rosario. So I'm not going to tell you have to go watch it, but I will tell you that it might help. But also, you could just call me, because that's what all my friends do when they watch Ahsoka without watching the Rebels. They just call me, ask me what's going on, and I tell them. So, you could just call me. So let's move on to our second Pop 3. This is exciting. Y'all know who Bethann Hardison is? Bethann Hardison is the first Black supermodel ever in life. And if you were a fan of A Different World and you had a crush on Dwayne Wayne, whose name in real life is Kadeem Hardison, Bethann Hardison is Kadeem Hardison's mama. So you know who she is, even if you don't know who she is. Bethann Hardison has a new documentary out about her called Invisible Beauty. It is out right now in theaters in some cities. We don't have it here in Memphis, but I know it's coming to the streaming services any minute now. I'm so excited to see it. Bethann Hardison is your favorite supermodel's favorite supermodel from back in the day. Stunning. Then she got into business and she was killing it on the business. And then she's a cultural icon, and she is, Dwayne Wayne's mama. So how can you not want to see that movie? So go see Invisible Beauty by Bethann Hardison, about Bethann Hardison. And then finally, on the Pop 3 this week, it is terrible how excited I was about this when I saw this on Instagram. I was a little bit embarrassed about how excited I was, because one of my guilty pleasures in life was, that TV show that everybody is what's the one TV show that you watch that people don't know you watch, but it's your favorite show? Okay, here's my confession. Mine is the Great British Baking Show. Who's surprised? Yes, Anasa watches the Great British Baking Show. I think there are 10 seasons up on Netflix, and I may or may not have seen every episode more than one time. I may or may not have tried to download the BBC app so I could watch the other ones, because there's 23 seasons all together, but only 10 or 11 of them are on Netflix in America, so we don't even get all of it. I may have watched Great British Baking Show Kids. I may have watched Great British Baking Show Professionals. I might be a little bit obsessed with Prue Leith. I might be obsessed with Liam. I might be obsessed with Great British Baking Show. But let me tell you what's going on right now. A couple weeks ago, they announced that the new host for the Great British Baking Show is a Black woman. What? Can you believe this? The whitest show in America has a Black woman host coming up. And do you know what else they announced? That they're putting this season on Netflix. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh my God. I get to watch the Great British Baking Show with a Black woman host. And do you know this woman's name is Allison? Wow, I forgot her name now. Hold on. What the heck is her name? Okay, here we go. And her name is Allison Hammond. I don't know anything about this woman except she is a plus size British Black woman, and I am so here for her. I cannot wait. On September 29th, They will be dropping new episodes, one a week, of the Great British Baking Show, and you know they're going to start with Bread Week. And do you know, I am excited. Allison is like a news host. She's like one of those, like, think about Good Morning America in Great Britain. She's like a newsday lifestyle host on one of those shows, and she is now the host. And I'm going to be her biggest American fan. I'm following her on Instagram. I'm obsessed with all her posts. Next time I go to Europe, I'm going to find her. We're going to be best friends, okay? Because this is very exciting. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. Okay. Everybody calm down. So now I'm about to introduce you to one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Cheryl Keita. Here's our conversation.
Welcome to episode 2 of season 5 of the Big Week podcast. As we all know, our theme for this season is Black abundance. So I'm really excited to talk to you in particular about that. But I would love to start with you just giving an introduction and telling us who you are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm Anasa's friend.
First and foremost.
First of all, I have worked in healthcare operations and leadership for over 15 years. And during the pandemic, I started to figure out what I wanted to do with my life when I grew up. And I started training and got my certification in executive coaching. And so since then, I've been working as an executive coach, coaching C-suite individuals on how to improve their business outcomes and lead with authenticity and show up fully in their workspace. And that's been a beautiful thing. So that's what I do.
It's been a beautiful thing for me, not only because I've gotten to watch you grow into that as one of your closest friends in the whole wide world on the planet Earth, but also because you have been really a huge catalyst in our own Big Week ecosystem. I think you've coached 4 or 5 of our leaders, and now you're coaching me. And so the way that you show up in the world is always something I've been a huge fan of. You know, I adore you, and I love how you show up, and I love how you lead in any old everyday interaction. But it's been like really a really, really huge gift to us, the way that you help us all show up as leaders in this work. And like we had that coaching session the other day, and literally I got off the phone and everything was different. And I was like, okay, everybody, from now on, cut it out.
Yes.
So it's been like I feel like you have found your blossoming, and it's exciting to watch.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. It's an honor to work with you and the team, for sure.
Oh, that's so nice to say.
Mm-hmm.
So like, just it's so funny. I was thinking about this podcast episode, and I was like thinking about you, and I was like, what is the thing about Cheryl that is like unique amongst all my other friendships? And the truth is that you are like my adventure person. Because I'm like, I want to go and do something real crazy, I'm going to call you every time and be like,
adventure time.
Let's go on an adventure. And you say yes every time.
I'm down.
Every time. And it's always so much fun, but it also is always like an opportunity for growth because we're so close and because we have like this long and crazy friendship that we've had for all these years and we've been through so much together. I always know that when we have an adventure, I'm going to grow from it. And that's one of the reasons why you're one of my closest friends, because like it's fun, it's transformative, it's like there's emotional intimacy, there's all the things that you need to have in a really, really, really good friendship. And I'm just so grateful that I have you in my life and also happy to have you on my podcast.
So I'll just add something. There's also safety. That's what makes it, I think, so easy to take these crazy adventures together. And so I'm grateful as well.
Yes, I never feel like I'm not safe. Because you know what? Because either one of us will pull the plug and be like, you know what? We're not doing that.
No.
We are not doing that. We're not doing that. What was our last adventure together? Our last adventure together. Don't do that.
Okay.
I don't know what you were thinking about, but I was thinking about Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yes.
Yes, that was our last big adventure, I think.
Yes.
So, Cheryl, let's talk about Galactic Star Cruiser for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Tell the people what Galactic Star Cruiser is.
It's not what I thought. I'll start with that. So whatever, if people are Star Wars fans, whatever they saw or have heard, it wasn't that for me. It was, and I had heard that it was a immersive experience, right? But it was more than that. We had the opportunity to actually be live in the movie, and it was a mix of an adventure. It was some escape room. It was some choose your own ending. It was everything, and they had thought of every minute detail.
Yeah.
Things that I never even considered they would think about. And I had the time of my life. And I'm really sad that they're closing.
Why'd you have to say that? Now I feel sad too. For people who have not had the pleasure of being on Galactic Star Cruiser, people talk about it like it's a Star Wars hotel, but it really is like a live action role playing game where you spend 2.5 days in a choose your own adventure game.
Yes.
On a Star Wars set with Star Wars characters.
Yes.
And you actually become a character in the story. And we went there for my birthday this year, and it was like maybe the most fun I've ever had in my whole entire life.
Yeah. And you're doing it with strangers.
With complete strangers who you become comrades with. You be like, yo.
Yes.
So we have to meet in the basement at 5:00. Don't be late.
Right. And depending on what you do and who you engage with and which cast members you engage with, you have a completely different end to your story. You see different parts of the hotel. You open doors and go have activities that other people don't have. You can't just walk around and open the lightsaber training room door.
No.
So you have to be, I had to be teams with the Jedi trainees and help them out in order to get in that room. So it was just amazing.
It is a shame that they are closing, but it's been interesting for me to watch the strike unfolds and with the backdrop of this like war between Eisner from Disney and the governor of Florida, who we don't really like to talk about here, and kind of like the decision that they made because of him to close. I don't really believe that's a real thing, but like watching the like righteous indignation of Disney and like we're gonna close our thing, and then how they're showing up in the strike has been very, very interesting to me. Very interesting, but it's fine. I feel like I feel like people will have a chance to experience it because they will reopen it in some other way. There's no way they're just going to tear that building down if they spent so much money on it, and it's so amazing. And they still have the park, so there's still going to be, I'm sure, some way to have an interactive experience. But
So I also think that whether they ever open this up again or not, they learned what a true fully immersive 24/7 experience was. And so if they can take even a little tiny bit of that creativity and innovation that they made that with, they can do anything.
Right. And that's the first time that Disney has ever done anything like that. Like they have the Disney cruise and they have the Disney whatever, but there's never been like a live action role playing situation before. I just want to acknowledge we don't usually talk about Star Wars in this podcast because I try to keep my nerd stuff to a minimum. But if people want to know more about Star Wars in general, but particularly about the Galactic Star Cruiser, is like I want to remind y'all that we have a whole Star Wars podcast that's called Love Over Empire, and we do a double episode with the woman who designed the immersive experience, Michael Tara Garber, on I think it's like episode 5 and 6, I believe. So like if you want to know more about the kind of the intricacies of this experience and the creation of this experience, y'all can just go and listen to that podcast and listen to that amazing interview with Michael because it was so, so fun to do. So, Cheryl, I would like to talk about, you're actually my favorite person to have this conversation with. I want to talk to you about Black abundance.
Okay.
So, Cheryl, in 2019, I was struggling because I had to raise $1 million in like 9 months. And I was like, I've never done it before. I don't know how to do it. I don't think I can do it. I don't know who to get $1 million from. But I have to figure this out. And somebody had given me this book called The Abundance Book that y'all have heard me talk about before. And it was like a humongous struggle for me to get through this book. It's like a 40-day practice. You have to say all these things and do all these things. And I was like, had tried for probably 2 years to try to get through the book. And I never could. And one day I was talking to you. And I was really frustrated. And I mentioned the book to you. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I have that book too. I also could not do it.
And I was given the book maybe 7 or 8 years prior to that conversation. So even longer in my journey was I not able to make that commitment to those daily practices for that 40 days.
40 whole days. And you said we should do it together. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we should do it together. And we did it together. And it was the first time that I had ever been able to finish the whole practice. We checked in every day. Did you do your practice yet? I did my practice. I did my practice. You did your journal. You did my journal. And 2 weeks after we finished that first practice, I got a phone call that somebody was writing me one check for $1.3 million. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's something to this conversation. And in the years since, my work has really blossomed into one that's really about like understanding that abundance is our birthright and that we all have access to it, and particularly how Southern Black people can access it. But like from a personal standpoint, you have continued to be the person I talk about abundance in my own Black life. And we have continued to like experiment and practice and call things in. And one, I just want to thank you for being that person in my life. But I also just want to hear your reflections on abundance, and particularly abundance as a Black woman, and particularly abundance as a Black woman who comes from the Midwest, because that's a totally different, perspective and relationship. And so I want to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. So I think once we did that practice, and it was almost like breaking through a glass ceiling, right? I have read and studied the law of attraction for countless years, and I've lived an adventurous life, and I have called in so many amazing opportunities, way too many for us to go into on this podcast. But once we did that, I started to think of abundance in a different way. And I think that was the unexpected gift. I was always thinking of abundance as I have this goal. I want this job. I want this bank account balance. I need a new car. I want a new house. And these are the activities that I have to do to get those things. And abundance and I mean, standing in a true abundance mindset for me now feels like peace and ease and joy and health and well-being and all of those things. And that includes me having a home that I love so that I'm not worried. That includes me being able to afford the lifestyle that I'm living. It includes all of those things, but it also includes taking care of me. And I've been able to find a way to center myself in my abundance practice and not the things that I want.
I really love that. I love that so much. One of the things that really that I struggle with is this conversation about like who we are as individual people and what our access is and what our world and our experience tells us our access is. And like the work that we can do as individuals and as friends to be able to like help each other push beyond what our perception is of our access to abundance. And like the rub that I have with like what that means for us as individuals versus like what that looks like structurally and societally. And I'm thinking about like, I don't believe nor would I ever go into a room and be like, wow, look at all this poverty. Y'all need to do an abundance practice. America. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are all these structural things that have happened over the past millennia that we have to also acknowledge and also have to figure out like what our relationship with those things are as people who know that we can as they say chair and have a chair fall out, right? Because I can't say, I mean, I have said it many times. I have been like, liberation, freedom, self-determination, down with capitalism, and it still hasn't happened. And so I would love to hear you reflect kind of on like how you manage the personal versus the structural in a spiritual conversation about abundance.
That's a great question. And what came to mind when I was hearing you talk about walking into a room and verbally acknowledging all the poverty or the absence of abundance. And I think what I'm learning to do, and that's still in process learning, it's not been learned fully, but how do I see abundance in that situation? Right. And so that's one of the things that I think makes my coaching practice unique from others is that I coach leaders to be themselves and to tap into what they already have. And all of us have something different. Yeah. And so when we walk in that room, when we're across the world and I'm working on a public health project in rural Nigeria, right? I could say, oh my God, this is horrible. Or I can say, what do you guys already have? What are the gifts within this community that we can use and create a more abundant lifestyle for people? And if we can replicate that, it takes the judgment out, right? If we're looking at the poverty, we're starting from judging and assessing people and a situation and a structural system negatively. And if we can start positively, I think we can do things much quicker.
Yeah. Yes. That's something that I think is important to think about what you're saying, because like when we say abundance, because we say it in our work all the time now, we're like, we want communities of safety, joy, love, and abundance. It's in our language. Everybody on the team talks about it all the time. And I feel like when we say the word abundance, because we all are born and raised in this hyper-capitalist mindset, we like picture like Scrooge McDuck or Richie Rich or like Cruella de Vil with a fur coat made of puppies or whatever. And there's a certain like, I don't know, luxury. Like it's a word that people associate with luxury. And
over the top.
Oh, like over
Excess.
the top, everything you could ever want. And I'm not sure that that's what abundance is. And I was having a conversation a few months ago with a donor, and he was like, had made a pledge to give away a certain percentage of his wealth in his lifetime, right? Not one of these like, I'm going to pass it on to my kids and my grand. He was like, I'm going to give away 70% of all of my wealth before I die. And I was like asking him, like, how did you get to that number? How did you get to that decision? And he said, me and my wife had to have a really serious conversation about what enough looked like. And I was struck by the switch in the framing, because when I hear people talking about enough, it's people who don't have enough, and they're like, I just need enough to do this thing. And even in the enoughness of the conversation, it's still like a very scarcity
mindset
driven conversation, right? And this man was talking to me about enough from a place of abundance, which I don't think I had ever heard before. And I was like, well, how did you figure out what enough was? And he was like, well, first we had to think about like, how long do we think we're going to live? And let's be generous, right? Like, what if we live to be 100? And how much money do we spend every year? Great. So we know that's like the baseline. And then we added some more just to have a cushion. And then we added some more because we wanted to have fun and have vacations. And then we added some more for this. And there still was all of this left over that we could just be like, we don't need that. We don't need it. And I don't think that that's a conversation that people are having. I don't think people are asking themselves, like, what is enough from a place of abundance?
So you mentioned earlier that I come from the Midwest, and that gives me a unique perspective. And what you just said brings that up front of mind, top of mind for me, because I watched the elders in my community, both my close family community and also my community, larger community. I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. And
Browns.
Go Browns. Everyone worked hard. And that's what abundance looked like. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to work 7 days a week. I'm going to get all the overtime I can get. And my family and my children are just going to understand that I'm not going to recitals and games and having family game night and doing all the things, because I can make sure we go on vacation 2 or 3 times a year. I can make sure we have nice cars with the S on the end. I can make sure we live on this side of a certain street in a certain status of neighborhood. And that is what abundance looked like. And I grew up watching the people I love the most think abundance meant I had to pay for it. I had to struggle. I had to do things that were not physically sustainable to access abundance. And we were always just kissing the edge of it. So I love having a conversation from the finish line and reflecting back. What is enough? And then we have a goal.
It's easy to have a conversation about enoughness from an abundance standpoint if you're wealthy. But how do we get there when that's not our background? When we are from a factory town, or when we're from, a place where redlining is happening, and when we're from places where our schools are determined based on the fact that we live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a high tax base. So like, how do you make the shift as an individual, even as a community, when that's not your frame?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people can't see that. They can't see the shift. They can't even imagine the shift. So how I could contribute to that is to have conversations like this and talk about, it's literally a shift in mindset. It's not about status or class or bank account balances. It's not about that. It's not about where you live or what you own. That it is about, let's think about if we were comfortable and not mega billionaires, right? But if we were living the life that we want to live, and back to what I said earlier, the peace, the ease, the health, the well-being, what is the financial contribution to get us to that?
This is a conversation that we've been having lately, though. It's like, is abundance possible in America? Because the constant onslaught of the news, the GMOs, the high fructose corn syrup, the Barbie movies, like all of those things, like, do you believe that we are in a, like, physically located in a way that we actually can experience abundance fully?
So you're talking to me, I'm always going to say yes.
Okay.
That it's
say more.
It's always possible. We have to do things very different than what we've been doing. And I say we, right? The larger we. As a community, we would have to show up differently, think differently, work differently, support each other differently. But yes, it's possible. You mentioned GMOs. We can grow our own food. We can.
We can.
You and I both have vertical hydroponic gardens in our homes.
We do.
Because we can grow our own organic produce. I can control that. So it is possible. And how do we, as a community, start to think of that as a common goal? Right? You grow certain things, I grow certain things, and we have abundance together.
Come on, together, because that's really how we get there, is together. I think that's one of the things that I am like, abundant. This is what I started reminding myself of. I think this is like last year. I was like, abundance for a few people is not actually abundance. Abundance for a few people and everybody else is screwed is still scarcity. Abundance is only true when everybody has access to it. If you participate or not, it's fine. But like, to your point, abundance together is the only way you can actually have it, especially in this context, I think. one of the things that you say a lot to me is like, you can't get there from here. Mm-hmm. And so in an effort to like get to a place where we can actually get there, like how would you coach us collectively into the next place for us to be where we can experience our abundance together?
Mm-hmm. We have to feel better and not think better, feel better. And so when I say you can't get there from here, we're talking about the mindset that you're sitting in, right? That you're sitting in a scarcity mindset. And so how do I gain relief from that? And sometimes it's so bad, the only relief you can gain is go take a nap.
Listen.
So, but and that's a good tactic. When there's nothing else available to you, that's a tactic that works, right? You give yourself relief from this feeling of scarcity and anxiety and how am I going to get there from here? I mentioned earlier that people can't see what you're talking about, what you're visioning. And so they can't get there from where they are. Do we provide people with periodic goals along the path, right? Things that are more, less threatening or scary, like growing food. In the Midwest, everybody had a small garden in the backyard. That was normal. I mean, if I think about my father and my brother, they have peppers and cabbages and collards grown this year, tomatoes, right? That's just normal. And so how could we take, again, instead of looking at the poverty, looking at what we have and amplifying that. And then I think we just, the ripples out from there.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to shift us a little bit.
Okay.
Because this is a podcast where we talk about other things in the pop cultural zeitgeist, which are very important.
Okay.
And speaking of abundance, today, I think I lied earlier because I said our last adventure was Galactic Star Cruiser, but the truth is our last adventure was the Renaissance Tour.
Yes.
And to our whole conversation, if you want to talk about Black abundance in the 21st century, you got to be talking about Beyonce. The whole world is wearing silver right now.
She brought a whole color back. A whole color back.
I haven't worn silver since the 10th grade, but I got a whole silver outfit, head to toe, hair, accessories,
fan,
outfit, shiny
shoes, the whole thing. Come on.
Okay, I feel like we need to really dig into this Beyonce situation, Cheryl, because I mean there's nothing else right now except for Beyonce.
Yeah. So, when you think about that in reference to this abundance conversation, a few things immediately jump out. The silver, right? That was she wasn't wielding power to do that.
No.
She wasn't telling people they had to suffer or pay dues to show up and be a part of the silver community.
The silver community. We are the silver community.
Yes, she said, this is the Renaissance Tour.
That's right.
That's all.
That's right.
And people wanted to join that. She positively impacted the economy across so many different industries. How many times did I go online and see online shops that I frequent have a Beyonce section because she was on tour? That wasn't there a year ago.
No.
Right? And everything in there was silver. Right? Metallic down. So she greatly impacted on a large scale. So can we do it? Yes. Yeah. People felt like they had access to that.
I saw a girl on the internet today with a whole tinfoil outfit, and I was like, "That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta, yes, it's silver. You look good, and you look good." When I think about abundance in Beyonce, it takes me all the way back to the night the album came out. It was July 28th, 2022, and I know that because it was Princeton's birthday. and we were all at Prince's birthday party. And at midnight, somebody texted me and said, "Holy ish, the Beyonce album just dropped." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I have to go."
I'm out.
I went around the whole party. It was like, "Hey, Beyonce's album came out. Hey, Beyonce, did you know Beyonce's album just came out?" And I went in the car and I turned it on and I stayed up and listened to it 3 times. And I remember the feeling that I had when I listened to the album the first time, because you're from the Midwest, but I'm from Jersey. And all of that music reminded me of where I came from and the communities that I was a part of as a child, and the way that I would feel when I heard those rhythms and those beats. And it was just I was about to say, it was like a renaissance. I didn't mean to say that, but it was like a renaissance. It was like a renaissance. And it seems like the reason why people are so charged up by this tour is because of the way that people were feeling in the first place, because of the music. It's not Beyonce is amazing. We all know that Beyonce is amazing, but even this level of fervor, I don't know that we have experienced before from her record coming out. Am I misreading that, or do you feel like this is different?
She has broken the internet before, so I don't want to take that from her.
Absolutely,
right?
100%. 100%.
And we're at a time where you laid it out earlier in this conversation. The news and all of the things that are thrown in our face, she offered us joy and lightness and fun. And we needed it. And we wanted it. And we said yes. That's all. We said yes. And the more we listened to it, the more we liked it. And the more we wanted it. And then we listened to it more and more.
We did. I don't think that people know this, but the Beyonce album is how I got through my dad's funeral. Because when we were at...
I know this.
Of course, Cheryl and Nicole were there, but the night before my father's funeral, it was the worst day ever. I had a really terrible fight with my stepmother, and it was my dad's funeral. Who wants to do that? It was the worst day ever. And I turned on the Beyonce album real loud, and I played it over and over and over and over and over and over, and I just danced the whole night.
We did.
The whole night.
We did.
And laughed and felt joy and felt relief and felt hope and all those things that you mentioned earlier.
And that's abundance.
And that is abundance, to be able to have that emotion in the saddest moment of my whole entire life, to be able to find that well of joy and celebration in my body and in my community, with my family and with y'all in that moment was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Yeah. Literally. It was an entire gift. Entire gift. Okay, so now I need to know what you thought about the show.
It was the best show I've ever seen.
Have you seen Beyonce before?
No, this was my first time. But I've seen a lot of live music shows.
Yes, you have. You probably have seen more than anybody I know. That's not
my
a musician that on stage every day.
That's my thing. So this is the first time that I had the privilege of being in the audience. We had great seats.
We did.
And I was with people I wanted to be with.
We were.
It was a beautiful situation. And the show was just amazing. The amount of effort that she put into showcasing her craft, I could think nothing more than it was a gift from her to us. It was a labor of love.
So nice.
Yeah, because just every little thing. I've seen videos of her live performances before, and I've never noticed, if it did happen, I've never noticed her engaging with the crowd as much. She was very generous with her time.
Very.
I noticed that, and this may be a product of her age and having lived more life, but I feel like she was more herself. She wasn't Sasha Fierce. She wasn't a character. She was just her. And she was singing to us and dancing for us and performing for us. And it wasn't just the music.
No. I've seen, that was my third time seeing Beyonce. I saw whatever the tour was before the On the Run 2 tour. I saw that tour, and then I saw On the Run 2. It is so funny because this morning, I like, you know, those things that pop up on your phone, those memories pop up on your phone. And on my iPad, my photos app popped up memories. It was like 5 years ago, those pictures from the On the Run tour. It was video of Jay-Z and video of Beyonce. And I was like, wow, how wonderful for our conversation today. And I remembered being like, why is Jay-Z on stage with her? I know that's her man and all of that, but like, she shouldn't be on stage with anybody. Because as amazing as Jay-Z is, because he's amazing, his shows are amazing. As amazing as he is, with her on stage, he looked like he didn't belong on stage. And I feel like who's that? What is that? This woman, was it Michael Jackson's daughter or his son? One of those children was on the internet talking about nobody should be compared to my father.
His son Prince.
I'm like, sir, you can't. Why are you saying that right now? Like, why would you say that now in the moment, in Beyonce's moment of renaissance? Why are you saying that?
So I watched the whole.
Oh, okay.
That's not what he
Dispel
said.
the rumors, Cheryl. Dispel the rumors.
That's not what I heard.
Tell me what you heard.
What I heard was that this was a direct response to them comparing Harry Styles and calling Harry Styles was labeled the king of pop in a magazine. And that was the question.
Dare they?
Yes, and so that was the question that the interviewer asked Prince Jackson. And he responded with the clip that you're talking about.
Oh, so they just clickbaited me.
They did. In that exact same interview, he said Beyonce is on the level as a performer right now. You cannot deny her.
Very good, Prince Jackson. Yeah. Very good. Very
good. You're a victim. Sorry.
I'm a victim of the internet. Girl, I'm a victim of the internet literally every day. It's fine. Yeah. I'm used to it at this point. You know that. I've been sending you the stuff on the internet too.
And I blow you up all day.
I feel like we should give a shout out to Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Our wonderful third stooge, Nicole Aloysius Smith, professor of English and Afrofuturism at Spelman College. We miss you, we love you, and you are always here with us, no matter what.
Yes.
You are here with us. Nicole's moving to Memphis, I decided.
We talked about that earlier today.
Very good. Back in the year on that. She'll be right here. What else do I want to talk to you about? I think that might be it, Cheryl.
Well, I want to say one more thing about Beyonce.
You can say literally as many things as you want about Beyonce. We got hours. You can talk about her for hours.
So what we didn't talk about is how her family and friends showed out for her throughout the tour.
Say more.
The people on all socioeconomic levels enjoyed this show the same. And we were able to see it because we live in a society with social media right now.
Yep.
I mean, we saw Oprah's reaction, right,
Again,
all the way down to Offset, complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Offset was having a good old time.
Hey, Kris Kardashian was trying to learn the electric slide, right? All of those things were happening because Beyonce brought us together.
Yeah, you know, my favorite video that I've watched was Elaine. I think her name was Wentworth. I don't know her. I should know her last name. I'm sorry. The woman who is the fashion icon. I think she works for. I don't know. I was supposed to know.
Teen Vogue. Is it Teen Vogue?
Vogue. I think Elaine. I mostly know her because she's a host on
a judge on Project Runway.
A judge on Project Runway, and she was at the birthday show, and she was live streaming from, which I know you're not supposed to do, and they were in there shutting people's live streams down. But she live streamed like a really good amount of the first two songs that Beyonce said when she was like thanking the audience and talking about like what it meant for her to show up as a 43-year-old woman in this time, and like watching Elaine's reaction to Beyonce's reaction to the audience on her birthday was just so precious, and it's moving to me how many people are moved by Beyonce's performance, about her genuine like expression of who she is and her apparent transparency, because we don't really know. We don't know Beyonce. I met her one time. I don't know this woman. She's like whoever she's gonna be. And also, like, when you get up on a stage and you perform in that way, there's a part of you that is true that you can't deny, that just is expressed. And it felt like in that moment a really beautiful and genuine moment, and it was wonderful to be able to watch people really respond to her in that way. And I love how people love Beyonce. Mm-hmm. I really love how people love Beyonce. And I also love, like, I feel like we can't have this conversation without talking about like the spotlight that she's putting on Black queer culture in this moment, and what the relationship between that is with abundance, and thinking about the rise of people like Big Frida and T.S. Madison and Uncle Johnny and Honey Balenciaga and all the folks who we know because we watch, Legendary, or we watch whatever, right? Pose, and those are shows that we love, and then to see those folks from underground culture, from ballroom culture, being lifted up in this beautiful way in a time in the world when it is gauche to persecute queer folks, trans folks, you know what I'm saying? Into like the rise of T.S. Madison in this moment where Black trans women are being murdered every day is just like, you can't ignore that. Like, you can't.
And that's abundance.
Black abundance in particular, you cannot ignore the way that Beyonce is lifting and exalting and shining these voices and these cultures, right? And these core values, and saying like, these people are precious to us too as Black people. T.S. Madison is precious to us as Black people. Big Frida is precious to us. Uncle Johnny's legacy is, there is no Beyonce without Uncle Johnny. And for us as Black people, especially for people like us who are cisgender, straight Black women, to be like, T.S. Madison is also my sister. And if you didn't know that, you better ask Beyonce, and you better not say nothing bad to her. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's important for us, and it's important for the biggest star on earth to be the one to be like, these people's lives are precious. This culture is precious. These values and these traditions are precious. And I'm going to show you by making them mine and bringing them to you in this way that you are going to sing and dance and celebrate. And the hardest rock of all of y'all are going to be out here with your silver outfit on.
That's right.
Singing these songs, doing the music challenge, and participating and being like, Uncle Johnny made my dress. This cheap spandex. She looks
the best. Yes.
It makes me so, it's like, gives me hope. It gives me hope because we know that the first step into transformation on that level that we need to be in the place where we can all just love each other, it's like the first step to be able to experience that transformation in your own body is to be able to embody those stories. And Beyonce is giving us stories of transformation, bringing more love, bringing more light, bringing more joy, bringing more celebration, bringing more abundance into us, and doing it as an unapologetically Black woman with a whole, with a family, with carting her mama around the globe, like doing all the things that Black women do, and saying like, if you want to be like this, these are the things that you're going to have to figure out. It makes me very happy.
Well, and speaking of that, her daughter was on stage.
Listen, daughter, come on, Blue Ivy. I need to do my dance.
No, but that's abundance too.
That's
from
right.
Her demonstrating that for her family.
That's right.
This is what happens, and this isn't unattainable for you.
That's right.
You can do this. We watched Blue Ivy blossom from the time the first video came out, and these horrible people were talking terrible things about this child to the end and she was in her moment.
And when she walks out on stage now, people lose their mind.
That's right. And just think about
all the children in the audience.
Yes.
I can't take it. It's so sweet.
Yes.
Blue Ivy is these babies' heroes. Do you hear me?
Yes.
She's their legit hero. They're not even thinking about Beyonce. Like Blue Ivy's on the stage. Everybody, hush.
And that moment had nothing to do with, yes, it costs money to get in the venue. It costs money for the silver outfit. But that moment of joy for those little girls had nothing to do with money.
No, at all.
And yet it was abundance for them.
And it was abundance for them at the young, tender age of whatever they are. Yeah, my favorite video is that little baby who didn't know she was going to see Beyonce. And then she looked and she was like... I love that. I think that's my favorite video from all the Beyonce videos, and there are a lot of Beyonce videos on there. So many Beyonce videos. Okay, Cheryl, is there anything else you want to say about Beyonce or abundance or about how much we love each other or what you want to be in the world when you grow up?
I think I'm complete about Beyonce. I think I've expressed that she is everything.
Literally.
I want to be me when I grow up. And that feels good.
That's a good thing to be because you're pretty amazing.
Yeah. You are too. And I love you so much.
I love you even more than that, more than anyone could ever know. You're my favorite. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being in my personal life. Thank you for being in my professional life. Thank you for being on the planet and showing up. Thank you for having cute hair and outfits. Thank you for all the things that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm so happy y'all got to meet Cheryl. Like, she's really like, if there's two people in the whole wide world who know every single one of my secrets, and she's one of them. So like, I trust her with y'all and I trust her with me. And I'm really, really happy that y'all got to meet her. That's my boo. Well, we love you, Cheryl. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Okay. So let's get out of here. What's up? Oh, coming attractions. What do I want y'all to be thinking about for the future? Okay. So we all know how much we love Denzel. But do you know how much we love John David Washington, Denzel's son? Denzel's son, John David Washington, is amazing. He's been in some really great TV shows, some really great... he was in that show Ballers on HBO with The Rock. Did y'all see that show? He was a football player. He was so good in that show. And he was in a movie I saw on the airplane a couple months ago, but do you think I know the name of it? I do not, but it was good, so you should find it and watch it. So John David Washington has a new movie coming out. It is like a blockbuster science fiction movie, and I'm so excited about it. It's called The Creator. Okay, we're going to talk about Star Wars one more time. It's the third time on this week's episode, but whatever, sue me. The person who directed Rogue One is the same person who directs this film, okay? So you know it's good because Rogue One is the best non-canon Star Wars movie of all time. So you know the movie's going to be good. John David Washington plays a soldier, and the whole movie is so current. It's all about AI, and it's about how AI has taken over the country and doing all the things that nobody wants it to do. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but watch the coming attraction and then go watch the movie. That comes out September 29th in theaters all over the place. So I will be there on opening night at the IMAX. I expect you to be there too and support John David. And since we're talking about the Washington family, if you haven't gone to see Equalizer 3, let's just do a bonus shout out to Dad Denzel. Equalizer 3 is so good. It is so good. Y'all know how much we love Denzel on this podcast. Y'all know that we are big fans of Denzel Washington as the greatest actor of all time, period, podcast. And y'all know that The Equalizer is the only movie that Denzel ever did that has a sequel. And now they just came out with the third in the series. So it's now a trilogy. And I think this is the last Equalizer to ever happen. The story is amazing. The one-liners are amazing. The setting's amazing. And of course, the acting's amazing because it's freaking Denzel and he does no wrong on screen. So go see The Creator, go see The Equalizer, and then come back and see me next week because that's it for us. That is the Big Week Podcast wrapped. Season 5, Episode 2, Black Abundance everywhere, Beyonce everywhere, Silver LeMay everywhere, glitter everywhere. Who do we want to thank today? Well, I want to thank me because I was smart enough to bring Cheryl on the podcast. I want to thank my wonderful, wonderful friend Cheryl Keita for coming and talking to me about Beyonce and about abundance and about all of our adventures together. Shout out always, always to Kelvin Woods from Eunice Studios in Midtown and Princeton Days Productions. This has been a love offering from the Big We family, especially from the Big We Foundation. Shout out to our family at Claiborne Temple and all over the Weverse, everywhere in the galaxy. From the House of Abundance. This is Anasa Troutman, and I love you. And I will see you on the next episode.